How many appointments would you say you book on average a month and things from LinkedIn at the moment?
I'd say 10 to 15 a month I usually book. Say to me that the reason they go for me compared to another advisor is because I've got that specialism, and some of them, for example, want to go freelance down the line, and the taxes around that and the different options around that. Now I've actually got something that works pretty much bulletproof now, where it's compliance improved, all of it.
Hello everyone, it's Louis from Lead Gen FS, and today I'm joined with Arman, who's an SJP advisor. Arman, we've been able to help go from just starting out as an advisor to signing 15 clients from LinkedIn. And today, Arman's joined me just to run through the results, how they found the program, and walk us through exactly what they've done to grow their client book using LinkedIn. So, Arman, just quickly intro yourself for us and who you help as well. That would be great.
Hi, Louis. Yeah, thanks. So, so I'm a SJP advisor. I work under a practice. There's two other partners we help out each other a little bit. I started out back end of last year, so I was fresh out of the academy. I did do some work within the practice, just getting some experience beforehand. But yeah, I've always been in this industry. I'm 22 years old, and the clients I help are quantity surveyors and commercial directors, or just anyone in the commercial part of the construction industry.
Yeah, and it's a very cool niche, but also you've got off to a flying start as someone who's 22. I know what that's like, being 22 for myself. But yeah, you've got off to a flying start, which is fantastic. So if you could just explain then, I suppose, if you go back to pre-program, what kind of just explain like that situation and what got you to want to join the program?
Yeah, so I think from the very get-go, when I was speaking with the partner I work with, his name's Richard, he told me from the very get-go that we should probably use social media for me, especially because my network isn't as big as someone like him when he started. He had a very big network to leverage. I didn't have that. So I did sort of try things like networking events and stuff like that to have alongside it, just to diversify my sort of I guess where my clients would be coming from. But yeah, I didn't know what that would look like. Clients come from social media, and I did put out a handful of posts on LinkedIn whilst I was sort of getting ready to become an advisor and study. And I knew that would be an avenue. I just didn't know exactly how to do it. And then obviously I came across you, and it seemed like you were smashing it. And I was watching your content for a while, and I remember the day I messaged you, and then we arranged a meeting, joining with Richard at the time as well. And yeah, I just wanted a sort of consistent flow of clients, and I just didn't know how I could get that from LinkedIn. And I felt like it would be better for me as well to, I guess, pay to acquire that knowledge rather than trialing it myself over months and months and months.
Yeah.
So I think that fast track is really what I was looking for.
Yeah, it's a really good point, because we have some advisors who join us sometimes who I speak to, and they're like, oh, well, I can try it myself, sort of thing. But then, what was your perspective on that? Was, well, I could try it myself, but I'll do it for a really, really long time. Could try it and it not work. Why wait all that time? Is that what you mean?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I just needed something obviously that works. And I guess when you're doing something yourself and you're trying new things, you don't have as much conviction because you're not sure if it's going to work. And what you really need, which we spoke about before, is really give it the time, because it's not going to work. Sometimes it works from the very first week, but it can take a month or two to really see the results and things to compound. And when you're working with someone that has done it, and especially in the niche, financial advisor, and has done it with other advisors, that really gave me the conviction to stick to it and just keep going and trialing, instead of trialing different things, and in the end getting to nowhere. And I just needed something that would work pretty much from the get-go, and you seem to have the solution. Just worked.
That's great. Thank you for that. And okay, so you were at the start of the program, like before you joined the program, you just kind of started, you were trying to get clients. What were there any, like at the time, like were there anything else that you tried to do to get those initial clients, or anything that you tried that was a bit frustrating at the time?
So I think there's two that come to mind. One is sort of networking, sort of business networking events. And the other one would be just I guess leveraging the little network I have, so like friends and family.
Yeah.
They both felt a little bit, and look, business networking, well, they both work for a lot of people, and especially if you have a bigger network and so on. With me, the way I am, my personality, and just, well, I prefer doing things. The networking side of things didn't really work for me. I did go to a networking event, and I went to a couple, in fact. It just wasn't really for me. I know it works for others, but...
In what way?
I think just sort of, like, one of the things is, standing up in front of a room full of people and so on. I guess I'm going to have to take that leap at some point. And I mean, I did do it anyways, but it's just not the way I prefer doing things. And I'm just not, I don't know, good with being in front of a room full of people and just talking, about different things and so on. And sometimes I'm not actually, not to be horrible, but I'm not actually interested in talking about random things, and I just want to get straight out of the business.
Yeah, I get you. I get you.
So, it's... I didn't really find out that was for me. And then the friends and family avenue as well, I felt like it was a little bit, and I did sort of try that a little bit, but it did feel a little bit pushy. Like I was going, all of a sudden I was becoming an advisor, and just again, and again, my network just wasn't as big to really make that a avenue for me.
And do you feel like the warm network and the networking events would have been like a sustainable thing to give you a consistent flow?
No, definitely not. Obviously, one good thing with LinkedIn is I can choose. So when I'm really busy and I don't get around to messaging, I don't know, maybe put out. Well, I always put a post, but mainly the messaging side, you can choose, I guess, how many meetings you have and so on. Whereas, on the networking side, you're always dependent on someone else. It's a little bit like referrals. Referrals are a great way of getting clients if you can get them, but it's just really hard, time and you just don't know where it's going to come, and it's not sustainable. So really having a lead generation source where you can actively sort of, obviously the amount of inputs you put in really pretty much directly correlates to your outputs. It's really cool to have something that works that way.
Well, that's why we've already talked about how at 22, 15 clients in a really short time frame, just starting off as an advisor, is like fantastic, really fast growth. A lot of advisors look at that and go like, how's he done that? And it's like, the reason I think is because a lot of advisors look at those more traditional methods, referrals, networking, in personal network, and like exactly what you just said there, it's things outside of their control. So their growth's not in their control. Whereas what we have, or you have now with LinkedIn, is I'm quiet, I can do more, make myself busy. I'm too busy, let me just take my foot off the gas a little bit, and I can do less and manage the clients that I have, which is why you've been able to grow, because now your growth's actually in your control, which is really cool, which is the way I prefer to grow as well. Nice. So, okay, so we kind of talked about we've got a good picture of where you were. I suppose now you came into the program, you talked about some things with the program, but when we were on that call, I suppose, and we were going through the program, how did you feel then? How did you feel about the program itself, the investment, that sort of thing? How did you feel about
that? Good question. So I think I was pretty set on doing it, just because I think at that point I'd seen quite a lot of your content. So I mean, at the time, obviously, it is a little bit daunting to anyone when they see the fee and so on, and of course there was going to be a fee. But we decided pretty quickly that I think, it was the right thing to do, and that this was the sort of avenue. It was a good investment rather than sort of just chucking money down the toilet. It was an investment, and that's what I looked at it at the time, and I'm glad it's played out. Well, even better than I thought it would, to be honest. So, which is fantastic. So, it was definitely an investment, and I think anyone sort of considering doing it should really think of it that way. As long as they can put in the work.
I agree.
As an investment rather than sort of gamble.
Yeah, 100%. And then you made that investment. You got into the program, and how did you? So, we're inside. How did you feel inside of the program when you initially joined? What were your first initial reaction, I suppose, to everything?
Yeah, it was more structured than I thought it would be, which was good. Because I'm quite, I like a structure, so knowing what I should be doing each day and each week and so on, and also where to start and what to do first, because it can be daunting otherwise. So I think the way you did it, sort of the 8-week program, that worked really well for me. And knowing what to do, and obviously with certain things and certain networks like St James's Place, they don't allow certain parts of it and so on. So you were quite flexible and found alternative ways to do that, and get around it in a way that a shippy would like.
Exactly. We always say it's like because we've done it with so many advisors, so many different departments and different firms and things. The system is adaptable. It can be adapted depending on where you are and what you're doing. So 100%.
That's it. I think a lot of it, because it's not just dependent on one part. So you can do like your VSL and things like that. So there's always going to be a certain part of it that a firm will allow. So it's not sort of like the whole system would be, I guess, banned by a firm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I suppose then, what, like, when you came in, I suppose, what changes did we make, and how did you use the program? What did we change?
Right,
what did we set up?
Okay. Yeah. So obviously there was, again, comes back to sort of structure, which I like. They're sending out 10 DMs, which I still sort of stick by that pretty much. 10 DMs a day. Sending out connection requests. So knowing how many people to connect with, how many people to DM, which that can be a hard thing from the get-go as well, because certain days no one will reply to you and you might think you need to DM more people, but it's just the way the averages and so on work, and some days you won't hear anything back, and other days you might get 30% of the people respond. Just setting out how I need to be doing that, which is really important, just those set tasks each day. And then also the post side of things. Before, I wouldn't have posted as much as I am doing now. So every single day I might have thought, I don't know, it's annoying to some people, but it isn't. People genuinely enjoy it, and I've had feedback from a lot of quantity surveyors and commercial directors on that as well. The content being really helpful. Just sticking to that, and obviously on the content part, which I've got relatively good at the last couple of months, but initially
you have.
How to actually write the content, the hook, the body, how to end it off, and obviously the compliance part, that's really important as well, which we've managed to navigate quite well enough. Obviously I'm sending all my posts to our financial promotions team to sign it off and make any changes I need to make, and obviously the risk warnings at the bottom as well, which was another concern at the time, making sure that it's all compliant and it's sustainable as well, because and especially now that it's such an important avenue to me, and pretty much all my clients come from LinkedIn, I want to make sure it's sustainable and nothing's going to get in the way of that stopping in the future.
Because I remember you saying, actually, like, there was one of the concerns right in the early days of the program was basically like, but won't compliance just, they'll tell me to do all these things, and won't they just tear it all to pieces and it won't work and things like that. But then actually you've said that recently, you've had posts, not recently, but not just recently, but the whole time you've had all your posts go through, and that they are doing just as well, sort of thing, than what you were worried about.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, they do ask me sometimes to remove certain parts, which I do disagree with at times, but even despite that, they've done. There are posts that do well, and it still works. You're compliant. You protect yourself, the firm, and ultimately, I guess, some clients as well. It worked. And that was definitely a concern of mine at the start. But it's all good, and obviously the profile's been approved, which is all good as well. Other than I can't mention that the meetings are free or anything like that. I mean, the whole thing, it's pretty much bulletproof now, where it's compliance improved all of it, so there's no problem with it.
And it's pretty much all bulletproof, and you're still using it to get clients today.
Exactly, that's the important thing. It still works as well. So
and then you talked about a couple of things that we've done with you in the program there. So you briefly talked about the profile, you've talked about the content, you talked about the messages. But if you take back right to the start, do you remember the very first thing that we did?
As in optimizing the profile.
Well, even when we started doing it together, do you remember one of the first things we decided was who am I actually going to go after?
Right. Yeah.
How did you find that?
Yeah, so I was speaking with my first quantitative, which is the reason I decided on that niche about this week actually, and how he thought at the time as well that the niche was, well, it was too narrow, too niche pretty much. But yeah, so the way I decided on that, I was going to go between sort of, I guess, NHS professional doctors in the NHS because my dad is one, and he's got a big network of them as well. Or then go on the niche I've decided to go on in the end, which is quantity surveyors and the commercial professionals. And yeah, I mean, obviously, well, I was going to go broader as well. I think more sort of construction professionals more broadly at the start, if I remember correctly. But you told me just to narrow it down on the sort of QS.
Yeah, it can be nerve-wracking as well.
Exactly, it is scary, and someone has to just come and fresh out of the academy and just starting to take on their own clients. It was scary to sort of, I guess, eliminate everyone else and just focus on those professionals. So yeah, it worked really well. And yeah, it was the same as my QS friend who was the reason behind me going for that niche. He didn't think it would work either, but it actually has worked. I think it works well better than going after everyone, because you end up sort of specializing on no one, and they really like you. And I've had it before. Someone say to me that the reason they go for me compared to another advisors, because I've got that specialism, and some of them, for example, want to go freelance down the line, and the taxes around that and the different options around that. I've got the knowledge around it because I've got the different clients who are freelance, employed, companies and so on, and they really like that. And that was the reason sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes they go for me compared to another advisor elsewhere.
And I suppose inside of the program, how did we, like, because I think the niche, by the way, is a fantastic one. It's such a cool one. But how did we help you make that decision?
Yeah. I remember conversations. I think we had most of our sort of first meeting was around the niche, to be honest, and sort of overcoming the worries I had because I wanted to go broader, as I just said. But yeah, obviously we did the research, and I did the research in the background as well. How many people are within that niche? And I was the average earnings and stuff like that, making sure it's really a good niche, because I only had one client that was a quantitative at the time. But yeah, you obviously done some of that with me, and we justified it, and it just made sense. And I think we even done a sort of sales navigator search and saw, how many people are there on LinkedIn? Are they actually on LinkedIn? Because some professionals or some sort of industries or professions, there might not actually be, as many of them. So we done all of that research together, and in the end, it just made sense. And
it was good fun. I remember it. So we talked about that, us at the start helping you with the niche and just giving you that reassurance, but also stress testing it to make sure it's good, making the profile all about them, doing all the connections, doing all the content, doing all the messages so you can start getting them. I'm just curious, one of the things I always hear from advisors is about, sometimes they'll always say, I don't have time. That sounds like something I don't have time to do that. Like, how did you balance the time commitment of doing LinkedIn and getting the clients and servicing the clients?
Yeah, so I think really what you've got to do is obviously break it down, which is great with I guess the system you've built is that you break it down into daily rather than a big chunk of time at the end of the week or some point in the week. So breaking it down into 10 DMs, 20 or 30 connection requests each day, one post and so on. When you really do that, especially on the post side, which can take some time, especially if you've got a bit of brain fog that day or something like that, it can take time to post. So breaking it down daily and setting that time aside, that's what's really helped me, and sort of giving that structure to my day. So on my to-do list every single day, I have, write a LinkedIn post, get one scheduled as well for the next day, with a picture and so on as well. Send the 10 DMs, connect with people, and follow up as well. So that structure is really nice. And I think altogether it might take, obviously with an SJP, you've got to run it through our sort of CRM system, make sure they're not already clients. But all in all, with the post and everything, might take maybe hour and a half. And I imagine for some of the other advisors outside of SJP, where they don't have to do the time-consuming part of putting them through the CRM system, it would obviously take a lot less time. But yeah, for something that's my main driver of new new prospects and new business and new clients that I'm able to help, it's not a big commitment at all. An hour and a half, I would say.
Yeah, because I imagine when people go networking, they probably spend an hour, and some people probably spend an hour and a half commuting to the networking event.
Exactly. And they wouldn't get, and obviously they don't get, the sort of, obviously with LinkedIn, there's no guarantees either, but it's very likely that as long as you put in the work, the outputs will come. So, and that's a great thing when you're, when you go to a networking event, it's a little bit, you're unsure, will I get someone, especially, that week or someone. You might know that further down the line you'll get someone, but you don't know when it will come, a little bit like referrals. So, yeah, it's sort of good knowing that you've got control over that and your time pretty much correlates to the outputs almost directly.
I think what you're explaining there is control. It's like, well, I could put my time going to networking events, but I don't have control of who's in that room. I don't have control of if they'll actually, like what I offer. I don't have control of these things. Whereas on LinkedIn, the flip side is like, I can spend my time and I have full control over who I get in front of. I have full control of making what I say attractive to them. And I have full control of trying to get them to book appointments. Really cool. I suppose then, just before we get into like results and appointments and clients and all the exciting sort of things, just about the program in itself, is there anything personally that you've loved about the program or just working with us at Lead NFS, I suppose?
Yeah, I think similar to how we how I help obviously clients with the emotional side of things. I guess the obvious one is, when markets are doing poorly, you have to encourage them to stay in and look at the longer term plan. I think with you would be, I guess, the emotional side when, at the start, I would have, I think it was a couple months ago, or maybe like a month or two in, where I was like, I think I'm outgrowing sort of the QS niche. I
remember that.
Yeah, exactly. So we went back into, pretty much the research we've done, and we looked at, how many QSs actually are there in the UK. And he told me, I think it was something like 60,000 or something like that. And I'd connected with like 1,000 of them. So I was nowhere near my capacity. I was thinking about, potentially broadening, to more professionals in the construction sector and so on. And a lot of them still come to me anyways, because they love the post and they just want the outcome that I'm giving the quantity surveyors. So a lot of them still come to me. But obviously the main people I want to be helping is the quantity surveyors. You helped me sort of really stay on track with that, and sort of, having someone there to, I guess, rationalize decisions and seeing when I'm trying out new things and like maybe new DMs or something like that. Just having someone there that's done it before, knows what works on LinkedIn as well. That's really helpful. And it comes back to the point I made, at the start where, I guess you could try and do it by yourself, but it would take you so much time, which affect to see if it works and make it happen. And obviously time is money at the end of the day, so I'd rather pay someone that can actually help me to it and get me to from A to B in no time.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you. And the other thing that I see some advisors do is they go, I'm going to try it myself first. And what happens is they go and try it themselves, and they, because like you say, it takes you a lot longer because you don't have someone who's there to put the guardrails up. Like, like when you're saying, I want to change my niche. And I'm like, hold on a second, let's put the guardrails in. And then let's make sure you don't do that, because then you're going to, the bowling ball's going to go over here and you're going to fall into the gut sort of thing. We put those guardrails in. Sometimes I see people do that, like they start doing it on their own and they don't have those guardrails, so they fall off. And then they now have the mindset that LinkedIn doesn't work. But it's not that LinkedIn doesn't work. It's LinkedIn didn't work when I did these things and I did them wrong. And it's like LinkedIn works if you do it the right way. But people don't understand that the hidden cost of trying to do it on your own and it not working is not just the time, which you could argue, if you work it out on your hourly rate, is extremely expensive. But it's also the hidden cost of, I now have this belief that it doesn't work, so I'm not going to do it. So I'm never going to get the success from it anyway, as well, which is actually very expensive as well. I completely agree. So, okay, let's get into the more exciting bits now, I suppose, or the things that people will probably want to know, which is, we've been working with you for a good chunk of time now. You started with us when you were just kind of starting out as an advisor. After kind of implementing everything, what results have you got?
Yeah, so good question. So I've taken on about 15 clients since I started, and a bulk of them have been sort of since January, really, because it took me a bit of time to get started and get things refined, and the compounding effect as well. So most of them, again, in the last sort of 5-6 months. 15 clients. I think I'm approaching, and I did some research into this, analysis into it last week. I'm approaching, by the end of this week, I should be close to, end of this month, should be about 1 million that I've onboarded, which is in assets, which is, for me, I know a lot of advisors obviously aim for a much higher figure, but for someone that's just started, and
you should be really proud of that.
Exactly, and my goal for the year was, I think, just above that or something like that, and I'm nowhere near. I mean, if we're looking from January to January, I'm nowhere near. I'm just about halfway through. So, I'm really happy with that, and obviously with the things we've got planned as well, that should only compound and get higher and higher and higher.
Exactly.
So,
What about from a booked appointments perspective? How many appointments would you say you book on average a month and things from LinkedIn at the moment?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it depends. I mean, I think the constraint here really is my capacity. If I was to,
great problem to have.
Yeah, exactly. But I think, if I was to, sending out the DMs and everything every day. I mean, I post. One thing I'd never miss is posting. But the DMs, if I'm really busy, one thing I'll sacrifice is the DMs. Just because if I don't have any time on diary, I just can't make it happen. So
no, that makes sense.
But I would say 10. Yeah, so I'd say 10 to 15 a month I usually book. I obviously ran the challenge, I think it was last month, and I think I finished on 12 or 13 appointments. So I would say, 10 to 15 is sort of, my sweet spot. And I'll have one week where I might book, 5 appointments, another where I maybe book 1 or 2 just because I'm not actively trying to book appointments. So, and that's the great thing, which you said, is the control, that you get the control to do that.
Yeah. And I mean, like you absolutely smashed it. And 15 clients, most of the main bulk of them coming from LinkedIn, or those 15 clients coming from LinkedIn, and then 10 to 15 appointments a month. But I think the key thing that most of us listening to this will be like, that is just so good, is the control. It's like you say, I can get 5 appointments a week, but when I'm not actively trying, I can get 1 or 2. And the problem is, I find with most advisors, is that they don't have anything that they can actively try into. Which means that, even if they did want to actively try, they can't push that up to whatever their referrals limit them to. So I suppose just getting to some last couple of questions, just 2 or 3 before we go.
Yeah.
Compared to how you feel at the start, how do you feel now about acquiring new clients and the actual growth of your book?
Yeah. I mean, obviously at the start I had no clue where they would be coming from. So now I've actually got, something that works, and there's not that much guesswork in it, which I like, the certainty around it. Again, because if you go, do something else, like networking event, you don't know if they're going to come, but I can actively choose to send DMs later, and I can get booked appointments within a week or 2 on the back of that, most likely. So, I really like that certainty, I think I would just carry on probably doing that. I've kind of forgotten your question now. I kept waffling on.
Just how do you feel now about acquiring new clients?
Really good. And obviously having the confidence to know that it's actually a sustainable avenue against the compliance side I spoke about. That's all sort of bulletproof, so that can't be stopped. And as long as LinkedIn exists, I'm pretty confident that I can just carry on getting clients, and I can just move. And we spoke about it, niching down even further, and going for the more ideal clients, growing my book even further, right, and making it a more viable business. So things are looking really positive. For sure.
Brilliant.
I would be looking at other avenues if I didn't think it was sustainable and something that could really, grow my business.
Yeah, and what's the biggest shift for you personally been?
The biggest shift I've personally done, I think, not a shift, but I guess a little bit of a shift. But yeah, I think obviously coming fresh out of, so before I did sort of help other advisors with their clients and so on, but now since last year where I started taking on my own clients, I guess the meetings themselves and really, being able to build the trust with clients. And the way I've got that is, again, the volume of meetings that I have got, practice to do it, right? So, really having the volume to speak with people. And look, sometimes I did sort of, mess up or say something that I was like afterwards, why did I say that?
Why did I say that? Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's again, the practice was invaluable and got me to where I am today. I'm going to keep practicing because there's still things I should be refining, and there always will be. But yeah, I think that's really what's helped me, and it will, especially when I get clients out from different avenues, maybe from an accountant or something like that, because I've been able to refine my meetings from the clients I've got through LinkedIn. That's going to allow me to take on more clients from other avenues as well because I'm better at doing the meetings. So,
yeah, and like you just highlighted, just to like, we're just about to end off, but you just highlighted such a key point there, which is what you're basically saying is, because I have control of my growth and I can book as many meetings as I'd like, I booked the volume of appointments that I'd like, which has allowed me to get good at having new client meetings, doing the fact finds, building out my systems, building out my processes. Because so many advisors go, oh, well, let me build my processes and everything first before I start growing things. So it's like you grow everything so you know what processes to build. And like that's a perfect that's a perfect like shift.
That's another sort of mindset shift I think you got me to do as well, because initially I wanted everything to be perfect, and I remember coming to you about it. I think it was the initial meeting or the fact find. Well, both of them at some stage I wasn't happy with, and you told me, you've just got to do more of them, book more. Whereas I wanted to sort of take some time away and reflect on it and practice and so on. But the only way to practice is getting more appointments and practicing with those appointments. So that's worked beautifully, and I don't regret any of it, to be honest. It's great.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And I've got just two final questions before we go. The first one is, if an advisor's watching this right now and they're like sitting on the fence a bit, what would you say to them?
I would say, take the leap, like I did. Especially, if you're serious about it, you're willing to put the work in. It's bound to work, especially with your expertise. And one thing that held me back at times, is it the right niche, and things like that you think about when you're not getting appointments initially. But you stayed again with the guardrails. You kept me on track, and with that being there, you can't really go wrong. Pairing that up with if an advisor is willing to put in the work in, I don't see how it's not really going to work. So yeah, I will definitely take the leap and definitely think of it as an investment. The ROI I've seen on the investment has been, I think it's the best investment I've ever made. Look at
that. That's from a financial advisor.
Exactly, including the stock market, crypto, and all sorts. So yeah.
That's very kind. Thank you. And final question. For any current clients watching this who are going through the program, what advice would you have to them to help them succeed?
Yeah, I think just stay consistent. Initially, I did get a little bit. For example, I had a good first 2 weeks when I started off. Then things went a little bit quiet, and then they picked up again, and then they went quiet. You will have, sometimes, and we've spoken about this. You'll have an average figure, but you won't meet that figure every single week. Some weeks will be quieter for whatever reason. Some weeks will be busier. So as long as you keep the inputs the same, the outputs will come. And just keep refining and stick to it. And one thing I would say is very, very important is posting. Make sure if you can't try do all of it every single day. The DMs, the follow-ups, the posts. But if you can't, then and you have to prioritize one thing, I would say definitely prioritize the posting. And then I would say the connection requests as well, which is what I've started prioritizing recently, because I've had a lot of inbound, leads or bookings because they've been seeing my content for a while. So if you've got those people in your network and they've been, your LinkedIn network, and they've been within it for a couple of weeks or even a couple of months, and have been seeing your post, then they're quite likely to book in a meeting. Not all of them, of course, but even if it's 1 or 2 or 3% of them, what happened to me quite a few times, then I would say do those 2 things at a very minimum. Post and make a connection request. Even if the connection request just sit there and you don't send them DMs, it's really valuable.
100%. Great. Well, look, I really appreciate your time. Thank you for hopping on, and you're doing absolutely great, and I'm very excited to see how you continue to do. So thank you.
No worries. Well, thank you as well, Louis. It's been great, and look forward to carrying on with everything.
Yeah, sounds good. There we go. Done.
Good.
Thanks for that. Might take a bit longer than we initially
planned.
No,
all good. I don't have any meetings till the evening anyways. But, so my mind went a little bit blank when, well, obviously I forgot that question, but when...
You're all good. It doesn't matter. Like, no one's bothered. No one will be bothered.
Yeah, but it was mainly when we were going back to, obviously, what we were initially doing, which I just couldn't remember.
Yeah. It's a long time ago. You're fine. You did really well. And, like, you really helped us there in terms of everything you've just shared. Like, super helpful. And also the advisors watching it, they'll find that really helpful as well. So, yeah, like, you did really well. Don't beat yourself up about it at all. You did great.
No, I think that last question with helping other advisors out, that's really, I think that's the actual important thing, because a lot of people, they want to give up and just think, again, like what you said, LinkedIn doesn't work and so on. So it's really important that they just stick at it and just carry on doing it, and especially the posting, like I said.
Yeah, you've done great. Like, the way I would think about the reason I asked that question is because I imagine like you could have a conversation with you at the start.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that would have been so helpful.
Exactly. If I knew what I know now, and I mean, because of obviously Richard, I was quite committed already, because I saw the results weren't as good, but we still saw results. So I just kept sticking at it. But if I didn't see that, and I would have easily, especially if they already have other client sources, they've got a bigger client bank already, they might just be like, oh, it's not a big loss, so I'll just stop it. It doesn't work, so no point in carrying on. But it definitely works. So, yeah. Good.
Great. Well, look, I mean, that's it wrapped up for us. That was really helpful. Is there anything else that you wanted to chat to me about whilst you got me?
No, I'm really interested in obviously what you said about earlier before the call. I'm going to speak with Richard away till Thursday.
Think you'll have time to chat to him before we have our meeting in the afternoon? Oh, actually, there was something I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
Which is it just makes it more convenient for me. If you can't do it, that doesn't matter. But I was wondering if I could move our meeting to 1 hour later. So it'd be 4 till 6 rather than 3 till 5. If you can't do it, it's fine.
Because the only reason is that I was meant to be playing golf with some mates at 5, and I moved that already to 6.
Oh, that's my fault. What if I did it an hour earlier? Oh, actually.
Let me have a look.
Can't do it an hour earlier. Never mind.
Okay. I was going to say I can do that, but if you can't.
No, it's all right. No problem. It's fine. I'm looking forward to it anyway. Be good fun.
I mean, look, if I don't know what your guys probably filled up already for, but even earlier on the Thursday on the day.
No, you're all right. We'll stick to that time. It's fine. Me trying to change things. Okay. It's all good.
Perfect. No worries. Okay,
all right.
Good. Yeah, I'll try to chat with Richard before Thursday as well.
Sounds great.
Okay. Good. Perfect. Thank you, Louis. Right. Appreciate it. And we'll catch up on Thursday. Have a good day.
Sounds good. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.